Ladies and gentlemen, the 2023 parade honoring the United States Constitution in recognition of Gold Star Week of Remembrance will begin in 1 minute. Please take your seats.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the administration, faculty, staff, and members of the 145th Corps of Cadets at Georgia Military College, I would like to welcome you to today's parade. I am Cadet Andrew Meyer.
And I'm Cadet Morgan Lawler, and we will be your narrators for this afternoon's parade.
Today we celebrate the signing of one of the greatest documents of all time, the Constitution of our United States of America. Drafted in secret by delegates to the Constitutional Convention during the summer of 1787, just over 235 years ago, this four-page document, signed on September 17, 1787, established the government of the United States. Through discussion and debate, the delegates divided the power of the federal government among three branches, an executive, legislative, and judicial, each with its own powers and responsibilities, each with its own checks and balances, and all operating in subservience to the Constitution itself. The work of many minds, the Constitution stands as a model of cooperative statesmanship.
GMC also recognizes Gold Star Remembrance Week by flying the 4-star Gold Star flag you see today to honor the families of JC Corps of Cadets alumni. Sergeant Chad Mercer, Class of 2000. Sergeant Michael Stokely, Class of 2002. Specialist Daniel Gomez, Class of 2005. And Major David Gray, Class of 1998.
The two-star Gold Star flag flies in honor of the late Chief Petty Officer Terrell Horn and Staff Sergeant Alex French. These fathers of two GMC prep cadets gave their all in service to our nation.
To join us in this special recognition, Georgia Military College extends a special welcome to the guests and dignitaries who have joined Lieutenant General and Mrs. Caldwell on the reviewing stand and would like to recognize a few distinguished members.
Honorable Charles Flay, Senior Counsel Freeman Matheson Gray.
George Hogan, Chairman, Georgia Military College Board of Trustees.
Senator Whit Williams, State Senator, Georgia District 25.
Tom Torrance, 2022 GMC Hall of Heroes inductee. Members of the Del Webb Veterans Club.
Henry Craig, Baldwin County Commissioner. Already formed by Grand Parade are members of the Georgia Military College Band. The band commander is Cadet Captain Ryland Britt. The company First Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Abigail Johnson.
Our nation's colors and the 145th Corps of Cadets are now marching on to Grand Parade. The regiment, comprised of 4 battalions, will form on the field to begin this afternoon's ceremony.
The Cadet Regimental Adjutant, Cadet Major Emily Fain, directed the band to sound Adjutant's Call and is conducting the Adjutant's March to center herself on the regiment to begin today's ceremony.
The commander of troops is now moving to the front of the field with his staff to receive the formation from the adjutant. The commander of troops for today's ceremony is Cadet Colonel Kyer Mamlov.
Sir, the regiment is formed!
Sound off is a ceremonial tradition that dates back to the Crusades when military bands marched and countermarched before units designated to take part in the upcoming battle.
Sound off! Regiment!
Battalion!
Attention! Present!
Present!
Arm!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as the Georgia Military College Band plays Ruffles and Flourishes. Traditionally, Ruffles and Flourishes is played for civilian dignitaries and general officers. This afternoon, Lieutenant General Caldwell defers honor to our special guest, the Honorable Chuck Clay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Order!
Order!
Arms! Parade!
Parade!
Rest!
Again, welcome to Georgia Military College and our parade celebrating the U.S. Constitution and the Gold Star Remembrance Week. Your host for today's ceremony is the 21st President of Georgia Military College, Lieutenant General William B. Caldwell IV.
Regiment!
Battalion!
Attention! Persons to be honored at Color Center! Arms!
The commander of troops has ordered the colors to come forward for presentation. The term colors originated around the 17th century in the days when armies first adopted the regimental system. It was then decided that each regiment should be assigned a color. These colors not only made each regiment easy to identify, but also served as a rallying point on the battlefield. Today we refer to our nation's flag, the state flag, and the command flag as colors.
Sir, the colors are present.
That's command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the national anthem. For our guests in uniform and our veterans as desired, please render the hand salute. For our guests in civilian clothes, please place your right hand over your heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Detachment! Order! Arms! Order!
Order!
Arms! Parade!
Parade!
Rest! Detachment! Parade! Rest!
The President and our special guest, the Honorable Chuck Clay, will now present the Distinguished Order of the Servant Leader Award. This award recognizes character excellence for those members of the GMC family who have volunteered at least 100 hours of community service in 1 year. The award consists of a medal and a certificate signed by the President. Please hold your applause until all of the awards and letters have been presented. This afternoon, we congratulate
Anna Anise. Avery Lee. Josiah Moslum. Morgan Smith. Haley Young.
The second award for the Servant Leader Medal recognizes volunteers who have donated at least 200 hours of community service. This afternoon, we congratulate
Megan Graddock.
The third award for the Servant Leader Medal recognizes volunteers who have donated at least 300 hours of community service. This afternoon, we congratulate
Hayden Parsons.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in a round of applause to all award recipients.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of Georgia Military College, Lieutenant General William B. Caldwell IV.
Well, on behalf of our chair of our Board of Trustees and the entire board, we want to tell you thank you for joining us today. First parade of the season, we're excited to be back out here and to have all our cadets on the parade field. Today, we're really excited to have with us somebody's name who is analogous with servant leadership. Somebody who has literally spent his entire life not worried about numbers and facts and figures and growing businesses as much as he has spent serving his state and his nation. A servant leader. When you read his biographical sketch on the back of the program today, you'll read things about his awards and decorations that are all about service. You'll read about his service as a county commissioner, about an assistant district attorney, as a state senator and leader of his state party, as chairman of his party's board and raising and preparing for elections in the state of Georgia. You'll read he's been an adjunct professor and still is today in college, teaching college. He's a gentleman who went to the University of Georgia to get his law degree, which was the best place to go get one, he tells me. And he's continued in service ever since that time. So with that, if you all would, please help me welcome the Honorable Chuck Clay.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me? Loud and clear? It's an honor to be here, and thank you very much. And it's a little bit warm, so I'll try not to keep you here too long looking into that sun. Constitution Day. Congratulations, America. Congratulations, you. But kind of, what does it mean? Well, the Constitution, second oldest in the world, by the way, 4,300 words. Add another couple thousand with the Bill of Rights, and you've got the documents of the underpinning of this country for which you have both pledged and will pledge an oath to defend. But what does that mean in pragmatic terms? A couple of these simple points. Number one, creates people, we the people. It explains the reason in order to create a more perfect, not a perfect, a more perfect union. It establishes goals to establish justice, domestic tranquility, the blessings and liberty for this time forward. And it forms a government. We ordain and establish the Constitution of the United States of America. Kind of high-flowing stuff, important, stood the test of time, absolutely. But what is it? Those are words. They are words, and put together, yes, brilliantly, yes, under time and fire, but words nonetheless, that words without actions and deeds and citizenship ring hollow indeed. And you and others like you will never allow that to happen. It takes good citizens. The key thing I want to tell you about the Constitution, our government was not designed for majority rule. It was designed for the majority of consent of the people of this country. Majority consent. Very different from majority rule. Why? Because majority consent means our government is only as good as the citizens such as you who are out there each and every day to represent that in your lives, in your businesses, in your careers, and in your families. Without that, we're back to 4,000 or 5,000 words that sound great on paper that would be hollow indeed. You know, back in the one of the darkest days of the American Revolution, a gentleman named Thomas Paine wrote the stirring words, "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in times of crisis, shirk from his duty and responsibility to his country. But he and she who stands in now deserve the thanks of this nation from every man and woman for this time forward." I'm not saying we're in that level of crisis, but I expect that level of passion. And that means leadership. And leadership in the broadest sense: duty, honor, love of country, dignity, respect, humility, pride. All those things that go hand in hand, and you represent each and every day to ensure that those words of that Constitution are meaningful. Sometimes that comes down into terms of like the thunder of the great Jehovah from above. And when a man like Frederick Douglass wrote his rage and fury and spoke about the abomination of slavery, he was not talking about it because it was wrong. He was talking about it because he wanted the Constitution to mean the same for all men and women. And we fought a bloody war to prove it. He was right, and the Constitution stands strong today. Sometimes, however, that means that leadership comes in the form of citizenship as the balm of Gilead. Those of you who are Bible scholars, but in the days, you might remember the words, with malice towards none and charity towards all, let us work to bind the wounds of this nation. Let the better angels of our nature describe as we go forward after the carnage of our own Civil War. Abraham Lincoln, 1865. A man who could have been boastful, vengeful, prideful. He was humble, extending the arms of forgiveness, redemption, and make this country better for it. The balm of Gilead, that can be leadership too. Sometimes leadership and citizenship represents great power. Generally, you know, on June 5th, 1944, General Eisenhower was having his war council. 200,000 men, sailors, airmen were poised ready to invade France. The weather was atrocious. People were saying, you can't do it, call it off. Weatherman came in and said, General, I can't guarantee you, but I think we're going to have a 3 or 4 hour window when the storms subside. What are you going to do? Silence as all eyes turned to him, pondered for a minute and said, let's go. That's leadership. That's responsibility. And what you might not know, some of you do, he wrote a letter that night to put in that file before the invasion ever took place. If it fails, it is my responsibility and my responsibility alone. It is through no fault of the men, now women, who put their lives on the line to do it. If somebody needs to be held accountable, his name is Dwight David Eisenhower. That's leadership. But sometimes it's not the powerful. The Constitution is also for the weak. When Rosa Parks refused to get up and move to the back of a bus in Birmingham, Alabama, she was doing what was right morally, but she was also doing it in the shadow of our Constitution and our language and Bill of Rights that said if our documents do not apply to every citizen, each citizen, every man, woman, and child in this country, then they have no value and meaning at all. What power did she have? Moral courage, a conviction that this nation and its documents and its Constitution applied to her as well as anybody else. When a young man named Martin Luther King was thrown into his Birmingham City jail and wrote his famous letters from the Birmingham jail, how much power did he have? He had a rap sheet, a book and picture, and sitting in a cold cell. What he also had was the moral courage, the certitude that this nation was founded on something better, and it applied to all men and women. And he had that key word, conscience. And he held a mirror up to America and said, in your conscience and our documents, we can and will do better. And people responded because he was right. Not perfectly. We haven't solved all problems. But that kind of courage and leadership is the kind of citizenship that we need and demand at this time and place to ensure that our Constitution continues to have that meaning. Sometimes it's also the we. A young man named Cesar Chavez in the late 1960s saw the plight of migrant workers in Southern California. They were in conditions one step above slavery and said, this is enough. If power won't come to us, then we're going to take us to the power. And people scoffed and then founded, which is today the largest agricultural union in this country, the United Farm Workers. Why? Because our documents allow it and our citizenship demands it. It makes us better each and every time. You know, leadership is also by example. A couple anecdotes because they're personal to me. My dad was a bomber pilot in World War II. They'd been stationed in England and been moved to Belgium. And on a reunion years later, a young man wrote and said, General Clay, my name is so-and-so. You probably don't remember me. I was tail gunner in Lieutenant so-and-so crew. But I remember you. Your blue eyes, blonde hair. Why, you were the only officer who ever saluted me first. Right? He said, you know, we're in the middle of the winter, freezing cold, as some of you know, in 1944, and you came to us and said, I'm tired of freezing my you-know-what off in a tent. We're going to build a mess hall. And we laughed and thought you were crazy. We got up one freezing morning, you're out there by yourself, nailing boards together. Well, we didn't have any choice but to join in, and guess what? They got a mess hall. I'm not sure I'd eat in it, but they got a mess hall, nonetheless. And you serve by leadership, you serve by example, you serve by empowering your team. Remember that. It's not about you. It is about that team. And citizenship involves all. Another short anecdote. After the Normandy invasion, General Eisenhower called my granddad and said, Lucius, you be in an airplane an hour and fly to Normandy. We got a problem. The beaches are clogged, the troops are clogged, equipment's going nowhere. We can't get off the beaches because we can't get equipment to the front. Yes, sir. Arrived in Normandy, called for the harbor master. Said it took me about 2 minutes to figure out. Seemed like to have a perfectly good harbor master, but nobody would let him do his job. He had 20 people telling him, move this, do that, this, that, the other. Said very simple. From this point forward, you got one boss. That boss is me. And you're not going to hear from me in 72 hours. You get this mess cleared up, or I'll find somebody you can. Understood? Yes, sir. And guess what? He did it. You empower your team with the values and the commitment and that certitude that not only do we represent might, but we represent right. And those words are each and every day lived by each and every one of you as we go forward. I feel comfortable. I feel very, very comfortable that the future is indeed bright. I have no need to worry. As long as we have citizens that understand that words are only worthwhile and meaningful if they're backed by actions. And that doesn't mean you have to stand each and every day and do this or salute that or, you know, march around. You can if you want, that's fine. But what it means in each and every day, you know in your heart as an American citizen, I owe a duty. I owe a responsibility. Because without that, our Constitution has no meaning and no value. We've stood over 200 years because of the brilliance of the document itself. More importantly, we've survived because of the brilliance of people like you standing out in front of here today. I can't tell you how honored I'd be. John, is it okay if I break the protocol a little bit? I'm as a part-time professor up there, I got to get my students involved. So first of all, I want you to say, relax a little bit, move your shoulders, look around. Look to your left, look to your right, look behind you, and remember each and every one of those faces. I know you think you know them. You probably do. These men and women are going to have your back like you have their back to the day you die. You call on them, you help them, you be out there giving back, you respond to their needs, and every one of you is going to be a role model of what a citizen should be. And never forget that you yourselves have that long gray line of citizenship, perseverance, courage, constance, humility, and the desire to make this country everything it can and should be. Not for me, for you. So that next generation that comes along can stand just as proud as you are standing out here today. And if we do that, we're in very, very, very fine hands. Now, my second question is, or not question, request, relax again. If you're not holding a flag, raise your right or left hand. I'm a liberal arts scholar. Go ahead. Yell at Jim, is that okay? He says it's okay. Raise your daggone hand. You've been trained. Go ahead. There you go. Don't be shy. I'm a liberal arts scholar. I don't know the difference. Raise one or the other. Right? Raise it up like you're going to take an oath. Now turn it backwards. Now reach behind your head and give yourself a pat on the back. Job well done. Job well done. And third, and finally, I just want to tell you, I know at my age the value of what you're receiving today, though I've not walked in your shoes. But other than God Almighty Himself and your family, there's a group of people here that you owe each and every day for being what you are today and will be in the future. And I'm of course talking about this fine school. And I'm talking about the men and women who keep the grounds and maintenance. I'm talking about the cafeteria workers who get your food out there. I'm talking about your teachers, professors, assistants, and everybody else you cross paths with as you go out your day-to-day duties and responsibilities to be the fine young men and women that you are. The Constitution stands strong because of you. The future of America is bright because of you. The future of America is sound because our documents reflect it, but more importantly, because you're going to live it, and you're going to explain it, and you're going to represent it each and every day of your lives. I just want to wind up. They're not all here. They're not all here. But I want to hear a very thunderous, I don't need any thanks. My thanks is being here with you. But I want to hear as loud as you can to tell every man and woman working at this facility how much you appreciate and thank them. And before you do, when you graduate, you remember where you came from. You remember this school. You give back to this school, and it can be in any way under the sun. If you become Bill Gates, money. If you become a leader in your community, talk it up. If you recommend that people go to school, recommend that they come here. And it's all because of the folks sitting behind me. So I just want to wind up by saying thank you, and I want to hear a thunderous, very quick, hoo-ha! Go ahead. You got to scream too well. Well, by golly, I'll do it. You are now dismissed. I'm shamed, humbled, and humiliated, but I'll survive that too. But I in spirit, am speaking for you to say thank you to you. You all have a great day. I would say dismissed, but that ain't my responsibility.
In recognition of his leadership and strong support to Georgia Military College, his exemplary service to the state of Georgia, and in appreciation for his visit here today, Honorable Chuck Clay is being presented with the GMC Sabre by the Regimental Commander, Cadet Colonel Manlove, President Caldwell, and Chairman of the GMC Board of Trustees, Mr. George Hogan, on behalf of the Corps of Cadets. Honorable Clay epitomizes the concepts of leadership and character that we want our students to emulate.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as Cadet Peyton Wingard recites our cadet prayer.
Please bow your head and join me in prayer. Almighty God, General of all life's forces, Commander of nature, we praise thy holy name. Visit thy presence upon us and all former GMC cadets. Reinforce us in our quest for knowledge, integrity, and leadership. Instill in us humanitarianism and bless our enemy, whoever he might be. Extinguish from our daily lives greed and envy, and make us champions of right and ladies and gentlemen of honor. May we glorify thy name in victory and be courageous in defeat. Help us ever to think first of our comrades and secondly of ourselves, and always of thee. Guide our footsteps and cleanse our minds. May we be first in the service of our country and first in thy service. Lead us, O Lord, that we might lead. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Regiment!
Battalion!
Colors! Host! Color
Regimental Commander of the 145th Corps of Cadets and Commander of Troops for today's parade is Cadet Colonel Jair Manuel.
Members of the regimental staff are Cadet Major Emily Payne, Regimental S1 and Adjutant; Cadet Major Braden Hale, Regimental S2; Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Colette Malak, Regimental S3; Cadet Major Jason Harris, Regimental S4; Cadet Command Sergeant Major Eseta Tiki, Regimental Command Sergeant Major.
The GMC Tropical Advance is commanded by Cadet Captain Riley Gray, Company First Sergeant Cadet
Charlie Company is commanded by Cadet Captain Brian Sherwood. Company First Sergeant is Cadet Ashlyn Oliver. Delta Company is commanded by Cadet Captain B.C. Atkinson. Company First Sergeant is Cadet Ali Patel.
The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Sinai Stevens. Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Lee Christian. Alpha Company is commanded by Cadet Captain Cassandra Locke. Company First Sergeant is Cadet William Jones. Bravo Company is commanded by First Lieutenant Max Weaver. Company First Sergeant is Cadet Alex Thomas.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and render appropriate honors as the national colors pass in front of the seating area. For our guests in uniform and our veterans as retired, please render the hand salute. For our guests in civilian clothes, please place your right hand over your heart.
Members of the GMC Color Guard are Cadet Sergeant Major Akira Hudson, Cadet Paul Ryder, Cadet Sergeant First Class Juan Phillips, Cadet Master Sergeant Emily Newell, Cadet Sergeant First Class Dennis Smith.
Fourth Battalion is commanded by Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Braden Whitson. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Abraham Support. Alpha Company is commanded by Second Lieutenant Jason Lavin. Company First Sergeant is Cadet Jordan Long. Bravo Company is commanded by Cadet Captain Bryce Aldridge. Company First Sergeant is Cadet Samuel Hayes.
by Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Webster. Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Campbell Sires. Echo Company is commanded by Cadet Captain Amelia Dewberry. Company First Sergeant is Cadet Riley Marcotte. Foxtrot Company is commanded by Cadet Captain Vernon Hardy. Company First Sergeant is Cadet Kylie Bruce. Headquarters and Headquarters Detachment is commanded by Cadet Captain Annalise Obama. Company First Sergeant is Cadet Abigail Shepard.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Army song.
Sir, this concludes today's ceremony. Character above all.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the Georgia Military College's parade celebrating the United States Constitution and Gold Star Remembrance Week.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon.